ahead. Senator Rand Paul will be here with his thoughts on a controversial immigration bill and whether it should live or die in the House. And later, liberals now complain.
Okay. What was that?
Who this woman is?
1 second. Posting to Facebook.
How can you get back pain relief that lasts up to 16 hours?
And keeping an eye on what is going on, because we have some big news to talk about tonight, my
She's
friends.
already been caught lying about her age and about her reason for not attending Trayvon's funeral. And then there's her vanishing postings on her Twitter page. According to the
Okay, what's this?
Tweets referring to Trayvon and the case were removed just hours before her testimony, like this one from June 21st. 16 months later.
Sorry.
Wow, I need a drink.
Let me turn the captions on. Okay, so yeah, like, I don't know if you guys know my opinion about what's going on with the Trayvon thing, but I think the Trayvon thing is a totally controlled event. I think what we're seeing is a controlled uprising going on in the country right now. Please leave comments for response, and ultimately, let's see real quick. I just got to bring up the window so I can look at the comments. I'm taking my, I was feeling a little bit under the weather, and if you ever want to get over a disease or a sickness, you immediately go for the vitamin C, and you take good boodles of the vitamin C. You can't OD on vitamin C. You might just get an upset stomach, but that's about it. And it will basically cure anything that you've got going on with you. Also, you should take garlic and ginger and fish oil. And garlic is a natural antibiotic. Okay, so let me see. The big news that's coming out right now is coming out of California. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some of that news right now, because I encourage everyone to join or find me on Facebook, and also join the James Holmes Conspiracy Thomas Brinkley moderated group. I created the group because I noticed how essentially like top-down supported controlled opposition movements were creating groups and spreading disinformation. So I have my own group that I moderate, and I post all of my stuff there. But in Colorado today, the bones and other remains of 13-year-old Dylan Redwine were positively identified. And they sort of just recently, within the past 5 days, found his body, because they all did or I don't know if it was just recently, and they said that they did the search because the snow went away. And they found it 10 miles from the father's home, out there in the woods, far from the metropolitan area. But nonetheless, what is very important to understand is that the Aurora police, destroyed a bunch of DNA evidence just prior to this announcement that the body has been positively identified as Dylan Redwine. And why is this important? Well, that suggests that Aurora may be covering for somebody. And now I think they've announced that they're expanding that, and they're going through case by case, which I think is just, maybe it's legit, maybe it's a cover story for, maybe it is a cover story for acting like they're doing what they're supposed to do when it comes to accidentally destroying a bunch of DNA samples. So, what else? Yeah, basically we've got all sorts of scenarios going on right now. Specifically, we had a fire. Like, I love how much crazy news comes out of Aurora, because you've got people dying all the time in Aurora, and it's I think, a very dangerous place. I think there's a confirmed corrupt police department. As people know, Dan Oates was the not necessarily chief of police, but head of intelligence for the NYPD, and was promoted to that position I think it might have been less than a month before 9/11 occurred. Then 9/11 happens, and where does he go? He moves off to Aurora. Highly suspicious. There's all kinds of other things that happen over there. Okay, so let me take a look at what else we got. Oh my gosh, and there's been a huge crackdown that's been occurring with regard to the Evan Ebel thing. So, in May 14th, Colorado Corrections alerting judges of hundreds of sentencing flaws. Very odd, right? May 21st, attorney Evan Ebel threatened woman into buying him murder weapon. Lawyer, Ebel forced woman to turn over the gun. Okay, Evan Ebel is this guy who shot the head of corrections. That's a big deal. Shot the head of corrections in Colorado. They said that this guy was part of the 211 gang. He was supposed to be I don't know if he wasn't really supposed to be out of jail, and so that was part of the controversy there. Like, how did he get out of jail, and at the same time, why was he out of jail? And that was a mistake. It was a mistake that he was let out of jail on probation early, and then suddenly it's a mistake that he removed his ankle bracelet thing that should have kept him where basically this guy was supposed to be in jail and he wasn't, and he was running around as muscle or a hitman for the powers that be in Colorado, because this dude was messed up. This dude was just straight shooting people when he was or like he was stealing stuff and getting in dangerous fights when he was younger. He was really bad, and so he was an obviously really good recruit for the powers that be. And apparently that's all you got to do, to be a part of the gang of the powers that be. You just have to be a very terribly messed up criminal, and then they recruit you basically. Like, they're like, oh, you're fucking up American people's lives. Well, now, because we're trying to destroy America, now we're going to give you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're never going to get to go to jail, and you get to go around committing all the crimes that you want, and we're going to cover for you. Well, this shit's blowing up in their face right now. So, deputy shot by Colorado suspect to return to work. Saudi man in Tom Clements probe to appear before Colorado Parole Board. So then they were trying to make this Saudi connection. Al-Turki, which was distributing tapes from Anwar al-Awlaki, and all of this is just a big CIA front anyway. So what are they trying to do? Okay, just collapse this. Don't let this go to Hickenlooper. Don't let this go to Obama. Don't let this become a conspiracy. So what are they trying to do? Okay, it's the 211 gang. It's the white supremacists. They're the ones that orchestrated this. They're the ones that killed the head of corrections. No. Evan Ebel was part of a special gang squad. He was basically an informant. Okay, Evan Ebel. I don't know, because the way that Evan Ebel killed the head of corrections, because he killed a pizza guy just before he did it, and I need to commend the media over there, the local news media over there, and because that's the only reason why that family isn't compromised. That family was not compromised because, number one, they're a great, normal family that really hates the fact that their son was murdered, and they don't understand why. And I don't think that they can be compromised. And then, but the fact that they're safe and stuff like that has a lot to do with the fact that the local media chewed that sucker up. You had Jeremy Hohola basically confronting Hickenlooper with, I think the other guy's name was Larson or something like that, and they're literally saying, hey, Hickenlooper, did you mention, who are you talking about? After it was found out that it was Evan Ebel that was killed in Texas. This is really bad because I need to explain the story. It's so complex. I'm sorry. But basically, the guy that killed the head of corrections in Colorado was booking it, I think, to Mexico, and he's driving 100 miles an hour through the north part of Texas when a trooper tries to pull him over. Trooper pulls him over, and then Evan Ebel shoots the cop, and then books it, and then the police chase him, and then they slam into his car, and they take him out, and then all of a sudden the DA over there ends up getting shot, and it was strange how that happened because his wife, you know, like it looked like they were trying to make it look like a double, like a murder-suicide, with the wife got shot one time. Maybe they were just holding him, trying to get a compromise, and wife gets shot, and then he's like running for his gun apparently, and they shoot him up like 1,000,000 times in the back while he's heading to his gun. But that's because the FBI of Colorado was heading down there and saying, hey, you local sheriffs and you Texas FBI and stuff like that, we got this case, don't worry about it. Well, guess what happens? Hohola is confronting Hickenlooper, the governor of Colorado, and he's like, who are you? Because, you know, Hickenlooper was lamenting on the death of Tom Clemens, and he was mentioning basically Evan Ebel. Well, Evan Ebel hasn't even been identified as the suspect yet. And he says to Hohola, calls him out and says, hey, who were you mentioning the other day? Because Hohola thought he was talking about Evan Ebel before Evan Ebel was even identified as the killer. I was talking about something Ebel. His son, and you're like, did you know that Evan Ebel was the killer? He said, no, that took me completely by surprise. And it's just like boom, and then Hickenlooper got pissed off, dude, crazy. It's like, okay, why did the governor of Colorado know who killed the head of corrections? Okay, so something went on there, and now there is a huge probe and investigation going on. You've got like 80% of the sheriffs or something like that. All the counties are basically like turning against Hickenlooper, turning against the federal government. Okay, and not only that, but you've actually got counties legitimately attempting to secede from the state because of the way Hickenlooper's doing his thing. So it's almost like they're being set up at this point, because Hickenlooper had to pass all of this extremely controversial stuff, and so Colorado is literally on the front lines of this resistance, of this info war, basically, and they are doing one hell of a job over there right now. I mean, it is bad enough that they're standing up and they're taking action. Okay, so I want them. I know what's got to be happening, man. If people are talking, and that's what they need to do, is just be talking and go into the churches and talk it, okay? Because that, I mean, you're going to go and you're going to put an airport out there with a big old flaming demon horse and a bunch of flaming bullshit, and you're not going to get churches talking about the Illuminati and Satan worship and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You got a whole fucking state over there full of people, and you think that you can get away with just parading around satanic stuff, and people aren't going to get alerted to some sort of suspicious activity, and now Obama's being outed as some sort of a conspirator, a grand conspiracy. Dude, there's just no way, bro. Like, y'all just got way too full of yourselves, and it's going to come down on you now. So we're going to see what happens, because they got all the nukes stored over there, okay? And that's really important, because it's just fortuitous that if they can get Colorado to wake up, you can basically nip this sucker right at the root. You know what I'm saying? You can be like, okay, we got the nuke problem fixed now. You know, we've investigated and we found out that this dude who's controlling this nuclear launch sequence happens to be fucking this kid whose remains we found out in the woods, and he can't be doing that, so they pull him out and they put some other guy in there, and then hopefully they vet that guy, and he's not some creeper. You know what I mean? So a lot of what we're seeing, I think, because this stuff with the DA killings between Colorado and Texas basically happened and was blowing up just before the Boston bombings. Then the Boston bombings happened. Okay? I'm not saying that the Boston bombings weren't somehow planned or whatever. The Boston bombings were, I don't think that I did entertain that. I was like, I wonder if the Boston bombings are smokescreen for what's going on in Texas and Colorado. And then another thing I thought was, no, this is all part of the plan. They're trying to set Obama up. They're trying to say, yes, there's a conspiracy, and because they know that they can't control it, and they're trying to control and implode the conspiracy. Been seeing this for a while, been saying this for a while, and they're basically allowing things to happen, allowing things to be revealed. A very, very curious matter what they're doing. Sorry, I'm going to check the comments. Brinkman, it's Yeshua, it's Bear. Ask me questions, dude. Ask me questions so I can see what's going on. You must be getting all kinds of hits on your videos now. Oh, yeah. I'll be joining you later on the chat room. But, okay, so what was I talking about? Okay, yeah, so I was sitting there thinking, I was like, you know what, did they just sweep all that under the rug? And I was kind of getting like a little bit depressed in terms of the resistance to see them be able to sweep all that under the rug, despite all the progress we're supposedly making in the mainstream. But no. All right, so what else is going on? Colorado parole chief Tim Hand was fired. So Tim Hand was basically trying to say, oh my gosh, this is a really big deal. It was the 211 gang. The 211 gang was behind the murder of Clements, and he gets fired. So there goes the guy that was trying to help you cover things up, and he didn't do something right, and now he's fired. But to be honest with you, that wasn't just him getting fired. He did not want to be in that position. He did not want to be questioned about that stuff anymore. He was like, all right, I'm fired. I'm out of here. See you guys. Don't come looking for me. Let's see. Governor Hickenlooper appoints Wisconsin prison official to top DOC position. And that's suspicious right there, right? What's the connection between Colorado and Wisconsin? This is just them pulling compromised areas. So anywhere you got any of these false flags occurring, Orlando, Aurora, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm trying to think of Boston, where this Hernandez thing is even occurring. Don't live in those places, okay? That's like red flag for this is locked down. This is totally cabal. The judge is in on it. The police officers are in on it. They're sacrificing children in their basements, probably. Anderson Cooper just like just exudes this like high-level cabal member to me. I don't know what it is, but I just want. I mean, like, he's just absolutely stone cold. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. All right. Oh my gosh, and then there's this fire where this body was supposedly found in the fire, and it's just about, just a quick 10-minute drive away from the Aurora Theater where the shooting happened. And basically, I'm going to delete these Vincent Jackson references real quick. Basically, I think what happened was the Denver Post kind of blew it, because I think what happened was they killed somebody in the apartment, and then they said that they were just responding to a fire because what they were planning on. They got all these fires happening in Colorado. They're going to kill the guy. They're just going to light a fire and let that evidence in that apartment burn. I don't know what happened, but I do know that the day before, a bunch of DNA samples just went missing from the crime lab. So the thing is that the people that wrote this article, they said Aurora police are investigating the fire crews after fire crews found a body inside of an Aurora apartment fire early Thursday morning today essentially. Firefighters responded to the fire just before 2:30 a.m. at 14343 East Kentucky Place. They found the body after the, and then it's in quotes, quote, initial attack on the fire. So they're actually like supposedly fighting the fire, and then they find the body, according to a news release after the Aurora Fire Department. Because the question becomes, you know, how did the because there was no alarm going off or anything, so how did the firefighters arrive at the scene first? And then you actually have people, I guess, witnesses that heard a gunshot. So they heard a gunshot. So now they're, you know, at first they were like, there's no foul play, and now they're like, okay, it must have been suicide. And they're letting everyone go. They evacuated the entire building, probably because they wanted to question absolutely everyone there. They're like waking people up, wake up. And you know, would they have woken up if there was a fire alarm going off? No, apparently not, because there wasn't a fire alarm going off anyway. They wake everyone up. They get everyone out of the building. They're like, what did you guys experience? What did you experience? Well, motherfucker, I was asleep. You know, he's like, okay, we can go back in. Well, the reason that they got everyone out, and there's no visible fire at the outside of the building. Okay, it's like there probably wasn't even a fire whatsoever. And and even in the morning, as they were going in, all they could hear was breaking glass, as if they're like trying to create a crime scene or something like that. But, God, it's so fucked up. Okay, so what really happened there, I don't know. But once again, they woke everyone up. Well, they let everyone in the first and second floors go back in, but on the third floor, they didn't let everyone go back in, probably because people on the third floor are the ones that witnessed the gunshot sound, or, you know, the possibility of people arguing. Because the question becomes at that point, like, okay, if you heard a gunshot, did you hear people screaming? You know, did you hear two people arguing? Because at that point, it's not suicide, you know, possibly murder. So they had to compromise those people. Oh my gosh. This is the problem with valuing the Federal Reserve note, because you basically fuel the shit out of evil. Like, you should feel guilty for wanting money, to be honest with you. But really you shouldn't, because you have to play within the system to bring that system down. Alright, where was I? Alright, let's see if there's any more comments. You scored, man. All this new stuff came out about the scandals. That's right, dude. All kinds of stuff. Alright, so, and then they're like, we're not going to comment. We're not going to comment. Don't you just love that? It's like, I see, like, how did you guys, oh, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't have any info on that right now. I'm a normal human being, but here's what you're going to know, sweetheart. You know what I'm saying? It's like really demeaning. No. Okay. There's a new picture, there's a new video with Ben Swan that I'm going to take a look at. A dead person discovered in an apartment early Thursday was not killed by the blaze, but by suicide. The fire at Ridge Hill Apartments. Responders said within hours. That's important. They said within hours, so it took them hours. That the person did not die in the fire, but would not elaborate on the cause of death. No, we're not going to tell you about that. Aurora police, well, they didn't want to, Aurora police were expected to take the lead on the case following the discovery. Good job. Great people to assign that to. Good job. The fire was contained to the apartment. Yeah, because you can look at the pictures and there's no signs of a fire. Okay. So then this is entire building evacuated, toxic gases. Aurora police say the person found dead in the building. According to blah 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 TV, residents in the building of Ridge Hill Apartments were evacuated because of toxic gases. So I can see that you guys are already there, and I don't see how there's any visible flames coming out. Why is everyone still out here? Why is everyone, basically being questioned right now? Toxic gases. We're worried about toxic gases. Seems no alarm was going off because the man who lives next to the apartment that caught fire said he was awoke by firefighters banging on his door, telling him to get out. And when he got outside, all I could hear was the sound of breaking glass. And he said that he never met that neighbor before. And several evacuated residents that were questioned by police said they were asked what they saw and heard before the fire, including whether they heard gunshots. Because the issue, my friends, is whether or not they heard scuffling or yelling or screaming or anything that might indicate that this man was murdered, and murdered by some protected persons. Now, just look at the amount of, I'm going to show you guys a really good video in just a minute. But the Aurora Fire Department said when firefighters entered the apartment, they discovered the body inside the apartment. It seems potential gunshot sound witnesses are being compromised. First and second floor residents were allowed to return home soon after the fire was extinguished. Third floor residents were not able to return home immediately. So they had to make a quick kill. It is a curious matter of what they did or why they did it. And Aurora, the James Holmes investigation is costing $1 million of tax money. This is not factoring in the millions in hush money and cover-up operations that are to the extent that they're actually causing inflation of the currency. I mean, they basically, I think, since July, have printed the shit out of money. I think it's been I think it's been unprecedented. I don't remember where I saw that from. It's been on GOP. Just to show how, yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to share the screen and show you guys something very, very interesting, which I have uploaded to my channel. Oh wait, you know what? I might be able to simply click YouTube here, opening up YouTube. Welcome to the YouTube Hangout. Some things to remember. Everyone sees the same video and playlist, so adding and skipping videos will affect everyone. Only you see your search queries and results. Have fun and remember that you can share the playlist you created with your friends, whatever. Okay, I'm going to play a video for you guys. Add videos to the playlist. Or just a segment of it, just a small part of it. Add videos to playlist, save playlist. Alright, I thought you guys were Google and you guys knew how to like organize things. I can't figure out where anything is right here. Oh, add videos to playlist. Search for video or paste a URL. Okay, fine. I will paste a URL. I like how I titled this fucking huge. Okay. Alright, and I'm going to push enter. All right, so that's a big deal, and I even think that's a little bit controlled. The way he like congratulates the officer working the Ebel case, that's basically the corrections officers covering their asses with an investigation that they think is occurring. So they're going around kind of doing the limited hangout that's referred to by Steve, which means that you reveal a little bit. You reveal a little bit in order to shut people up. And he's saying, yes, there's corruption, but it's basically just catastrophic incompetency. And I can understand if it's legit. When he talks about incompetency and he sees it as incompetency, what he's basically saying is that they purposely do not allow correction officers or legit officers to do a good job, and they don't do this because they have assets that they have running around, and they don't want you to be able to, get to have enough power to be able to do things like question Evan Ebel, supposedly, or capture Evan Ebel when Evan Ebel's on an assignment, because Evan Ebel's the asset. Evan Ebel's the off-the-grid black operations son of a gun that ended up killing what's his face. Let's see if there's any more comments. All this new stuff came out about the scandals. What news? What are you talking about? What? Hey Bear, what are you talking about? What kind of new stuff came out about the shootings? What shootings are you talking about? So I did post a video where I read aloud the last Osama bin Laden interview where he denies involvement and says it's Zionist. I hate when people come in when they know I'm involved with something. These NSA fuckers, they come in and they start commenting, like dropping, their little shill shit on here. Block. Remove. Osama bin Laden, in his first televised appearance in more than a year, admitted for the first time ordering the September 11th accused Bush of misleading. In the portion of the tape that was broadcast, the al-Qaeda leader refrained from directly warning of new attacks. Block. Remove. Just don't even bother. I'm going to block you and remove what you said. Anyway, Osama bin Laden said 17 days after the 9/11 attacks, from a confirmed Taliban source, ran in a Pakistani newspaper or news organization. The Umat were basically all war hungry, and they were like, all right, tell us, are you and Al Qaeda gonna hit the Americans, the American economy even more now? And Osama bin Laden, who already said, well, he says it right here. He chills them out. He says, I have already said that we are not hostile to the United States. We are against the system which makes other nations slaves of the United States or forces them to mortgage their political and economic freedom. This system is totally in control of the American Jews, whose first priority is Israel, not the United States. It is clear, and it's so amazing. Now it's becoming mainstream that this is the case, but back at the time it was like, oh my gosh, it's so terrible. It's so irrational to say such a thing, and it's like, just look for yourself. It is clear that the American people are themselves the slaves of the Jews and are forced to live according to the principles and laws laid by them. So the punishment should reach Israel. In fact, it is Israel which is giving a bloodbath to innocent Muslims, and the U.S. is not uttering a single word. September 17th, 2001. So as early as that is the most bombshell information, the key fitting into the keyhole, turning the car, turning the engine of the truth, People say, oh, you're Jew bashing, you hate Jews. It's like, Jews don't have to identify themselves as the chosen race. I mean, you can say, I'm an Eastern European person, or I am from the area. I have the genealogy of the area of something stan or whatever, or I'm a Slavic or whatever. Okay, they don't have to say I'm a Jew. Okay, because I'm sorry. Like, if you're going to associate yourself with a religion that isolates you from the rest of humanity as being somehow fundamentally better, and the rest of humanity is essentially cattle designed to serve you, then you got a problem. Do white people call themselves Aryans? Like, I'm an Aryan. I am the master race. I am the, you're mired with like nasty stuff. We're basically like gods. You know what I'm saying? Do I say I'm an Aryan? No. No, and it's like, what do you mean? Do you have anything against Aryans? It's like, no, Aryans don't exist. Jews don't exist, okay? Like, as much as people want to be, you can't have it both ways. I'm sorry. If you're going to be religious, then you're basically going to be a Zionist. You're basically going to have this idea, this concept of God's chosen people and stuff like that. You just got to get rid of the whole thing, okay? It's a big trap. And, I know a lot of people want to cling to their, whatever, their religion, their pursuit of their religion. It's like, okay, you can. You can definitely say there's something here between the struggle between good and evil. You can believe in this concept of God and that Jesus was in fact somehow integrally related to this, and Muhammad or whatever. And even for people that want to still worship, be Jews, practice Judaism, you can believe those things, but you have to have enough rationality behind you to understand that when you've got the Prime Minister of Israel saying, quote, "My opinion of Christian Zionists, they're scum, but don't tell them that. We need all the useful idiots we can get right now." Prime Minister of Israel, who was present in New York City on 9/11 and in London during the July 7th subway bombings, and who, a whole bunch of Israelis got out of the, a lot of people want to just target it, and I'm sorry, but yeah, you can effectively target Israel with your, attempts to take down the cabal, and you'll be hitting a very sensitive nerve spot. It's very sensitive. I don't know why, but it is. Murderers or rapists, child molester, you're out in a few years or less. Smoke a joint or help someone out or call out corruption, get 30 to life, if not the death penalty. That's right, dude. We are literally, you were born into a prison as a slave to the prime target of which is the manipulation of your mind, of your surroundings, in order to fuel a machine which is taking over the world. You thought you were born into somewhere that was nice, and you were not. You were born into somewhere which is terrible. Terrible. Just look at this. Everybody's worshiping this criminal who supposedly killed people. And look at all these really just overweight fat guys who, I hate saying that, but I mean, just look. And this guy, he's totally lying to you. It's like we're in hell, basically. And we're trying to get out of it. And then this girl, who's probably lying, and they probably handpicked her because of how they knew she would inevitably fail at what she's doing here. You know what I'm saying? You have to be exposed to this on a daily basis. The Constitution that makes up the American person. You can feel proud of this. I can feel proud of this. Has to be amazing. Ooh. Has to be amazing because of what we've had to go through. Ugh. All right, how much longer do I have? Oh, I need to go in about 15 to 20 minutes. So, is there any more comments? I really enjoy doing this. I'm going to start trying to get Christian Peterson to... I'm going to try to get Christian Peterson to start doing these hangouts with me so that I can have someone to talk to and someone to check in on. But I understand that there has been a lot of developments recently. Sorry, I'm just checking the news right now. So they fired that stupid judge who watched as this woman got molested in the courtroom, basically. Good. It is just driving me crazy. You know, I don't know what they did, or they changed YouTube or something like that, but I used to, like, the videos I was putting out was much more pervasive. I was able to get 200 views, like, no problem. And now, either the people have changed, or YouTube or Google is doing something to suppress my stuff. I mean, it was very simple. You put Ron Paul as a tag, and you inevitably got like 200 to 300 views. Like, you had to watch what you put out there because it was inevitably going to be watched by a bunch of people, and you didn't want to look like a crazy person. Now it's weird because you put something out there and you might get, you know, you might get like 100 views. You might get like, 50 views and stuff like that. Very odd. It's just, and then, something else that weird that happened was that some of my videos went down in views, basically, if I remember correctly, and I'm not sure. But whenever the new change happened, I started noticing a propensity for not being capable of getting the sort of coverage I was getting. And I can't tell if I actually am getting more coverage or and they're making it look like I'm not, or there's like some sort of suppression going on. Which has happened before. So any comments before I close up? So Yeshua Ben Pandera says there's new stuff with the shootings, new scandals with the shootings. Look, guys, they're going to impeach Obama. They're going to control an uprising. They're going to control what the conspiracy is. They're going to make it out to be a conspiracy. And the extent to which that damage occurs is entirely dependent upon how much we insert our counter-narrative into what's happening on the mainstream. Okay, because they want Sandy Hook and they want the Boston bombing to be conspiracies. They don't want Aurora to be a conspiracy, which I'm sorry, it just will. You can't cover that one up. So it depends on what they're going to do with Aurora, and they want Benghazi to be a conspiracy. Those things there, they want this Trayvon thing to fail. They want, they've set up things to fail. And unfortunately what they're doing is they're creating a whole bunch of very difficult to control conspiracy theorists in this country. And it's just annoying, I think, to... You know what I want to do? I want to go to some remote location that they know I'm not at, and then look at my video, or like see if I can even find me on YouTube, and then see how many views I have and what kind of comments are being written. You know what I mean? Because that becomes odd to me. Like, how are they mitigating? How are they mitigating my channel, basically? Oh, are they or are they not? I don't know. I suppose I wouldn't worry about that. I'm just using. Okay, I'll give it about 8 more minutes, and then I'm gonna log off. Call it a night. All right. So, what do I think is going to end up happening? Well, what I think is going to end up happening is that they're going to inevitably impeach Obama. Like, the directive has been given to oust Obama. I think what's occurring in Colorado is essentially the heart of the fire. I think that shit is being found out, and they are setting up as much damage control as they can in the overall scheme in case like it becomes inevitable. So I'm basically attacking one of the weak points whenever I bring up coverage of the Aurora thing. And you know what sucks is that I post that shit on like forums and I'm immediately like attacked. Like everybody's just downgrading, and you know, trying to attack the credibility of it, and that's really just a sign that you're on something basically. But what I really can't stand, I'm sorry to say, is just the failure to cover the things, you know, because I think it's like easier for people to like ignore it or something like that, or whatever. But I'm so glad that some of these people in Colorado are either feeling the pressure or feeling a legitimate sense of purpose in life, which is causing them to uncover the corruption in that state. Because if you uncover the corruption in Colorado, you're going to uncover the Aurora shooting conspiracy, and you're going to inevitably track that straight up to the federal government with Obama, and then that goes from there to a globalist agenda. You know what I mean? Alright, let me see what we got. I would just end up doing a hangout for like hours and hours, but it's bad PR for me to do that. I can't tell if you guys are posting comments because they're not showing up. Maybe you are and they're not showing up or something. But yeah, I don't see them. Okay, what else? Yeah. So I highly encourage you guys to share the recent videos that I've been finding, and to look and to add me on Facebook, join my Facebook group, James Holmes Conspiracy, Thomas Brinkley moderated, and of course take a look at what is occurring in Colorado, because they are cracking down on a case of corruption over there. And luckily the local media seems to be rebelling to some extent, and things are very dangerous for them, and they need to basically be packing heat at all times, and like getting together, taking shifts, and being willing to stand their ground against random, nasty, corrupt police officers over there. And I'm going to go ahead and call it quits. I'll see you guys later. Where's that?